So I teach something called the Hour of Power. I actually learned it from a Canadian up here. And the Hour of Power is really powerful. And when I first learned it and started applying it to my life, it was really very transformative. And what it is you're going to do 20 minutes of meditation. And at the end of that meditation, you visualize like we just did for a few moments. Say your affirmation and visualize. If you don't know how to meditate, find some way to learn how to meditate. There's all kind of courses online. You can buy audio CDs, there are DVDs, or TED Talks on it. There are people who teach it, yoga teachers, etc. But meditation, people often say, Jack, when I do these interviews, they'll say, well, what's the most important success principle? And I'll say, like, well, what's the most important organ in your body? If you could only keep one of them, which one would you keep? And your body wouldn't work without all of them, or at least most of them. And so the reality is, there's not just one. There's this system we're learning. But if I were to rank order them, it would be mindset, which we've been talking about all morning. It would be meditation, and it would be mastermind groups. So we have the 3 M's, if you will. And meditation has changed my life. I got the title for Chicken Soup for the Soul in a meditation. We had a book, we had stories. It was time to take it to New York and try to sell it, and no title. Our agent said, you got to have a title. So Mark and I agreed we would meditate every day for about an hour and ask for a title. So on Monday, I meditate, nothing comes. Tuesday, nothing comes. Wednesday, about 10 minutes into it, this big green chalkboard appears like in school, and the hand comes out and writes, Chicken Soup for the Soul. And I said to the voice, assuming it was God, I said, what the hell does chicken soup have to do with this book? And the voice said, when you were a kid, your grandmother gave you chicken soup when you were sick. And I said, this is not a book about sick people. And the voice said, people's spirits are sick. This was 1992. There was the first Gulf War was going on, and there was a recession in America like we just recently had. And people were living in resignation, hopelessness, and fear. And so I thought, chicken soup for the spirit, chicken soup for the soul, and then I got goosebumps. One of my friends calls them God bumps. And so, well, wow, that's really cool. I told my wife, she got goosebumps. I called Mark Victor Hansen, my co-author, he got goosebumps. I called my agent, he got goosebumps. Went to New York, had meetings with 21 publishers, nobody got goosebumps. They all said, that's a stupid title. But that title, as I said, became a brand now that's worth hundreds of millions. Some people estimate $1 billion. So the reality is, some of the best things that have ever happened to me. The Secret was the other thing that really catapulted me into being famous around the world. And when I first was asked to be in it, they were going to film it, this conference I was putting on, 120 people like this room here, people that were all interested in transformation, teachers though, like John Gray and Michael Beckwith, some of the people you see in the movie. And I said, no, I don't want them to come and film it because they'll just be a distraction. They'll be pulling people out of the session all day long. And that night I was meditating before I went to bed, and I just got this big yes. So I called him back up and said, yeah, we'll do it. And I'm not sure I would have been in the movie if I hadn't allowed them to come and film, because most of us got filmed and then some of us ended up in the movie, which changed my life. Went around the world for years with Bob Proctor and other people doing secret conferences. So 20 minutes of meditation. 20 minutes of reading or listening to something on a CD, downloadable MP3 file, whatever, that's going to be uplifting, inspiring, informational, motivational, inspirational. And we're not talking novels, we're talking about self-help here. Finance, investing, whatever it might be. And then 20 minutes of vigorous exercise, whether it's aerobic. The new thing that I do is called high-intensity interval training, where you do like 1 minute just full out as fast as you can go on a treadmill or on a bike, or I use an exerciser, it's kind of like a stair stepper, and then you rest for a minute. And then you do another minute as fast as you can, then you rest for a minute. Do that for about 15 or 20 minutes, you get as much exercise as if you would exercise aerobically for an hour. So, but you want to get your blood moving, your lymph system moving, energy. Tony Robbins, it's like a little bouncing thing he bounces on behind stage before he goes on stage. And you want to get your energy up. Energy is important. So that's your hour of power. Now I want to talk about vision boards. A vision board is an external representation of pictures and words that represent your goal. So if it was millionaire, you could cut out words like millionaire, freedom, financial freedom, power, whatever it might be. You'd have pictures of $1 million bills. You'd have the pictures of things you want to buy with your $1 million once you have that kind of cash flow that comes out of that. And so you'd put it up on this is just like a big construction paper you'd buy, like, for a science project in school. You can put it on the back of your door. You can put it on your refrigerator. A lot of places you can place it. This is one of my students in Santa Barbara when I taught a workshop at Santa Barbara Community College, Cynthia Dodona. And she was at the time unmarried, did not have a boyfriend, had never been to Greece. And her goal was, I want to get married, and I want to have my marriage in Greece and my honeymoon in Greece. No boyfriend, never been there. Made her little vision board. And this is her 6 months later. In Greece with her new husband. And I could show you 50 of these that people have sent me that they've manifested by putting this on their vision boards. This is a vision board I have. We're now making these sort of a little more, I call them upper class. This one looks more like a ransom note back here, where they cut out things so they can't get the handwriting. So we wanted to do something that was a little more upper class. We make these in China. It looks like faux leather, comes with these parchment words already cut out. But if you see on mine in the upper right-hand corner, that's me and my wife living in joy and love. I wanted to learn to play the piano. The bottom right, you see me with a picture with Oprah. I've been on her show 3 times. There's our 1 million sold on the left-hand side. Flexibility, strength, getting standing ovations from audiences of thousands of people, peace in the world, all those kind of things. So you want to have your board. This is the back of the door. As I exit my office, I see all these images of things I want to accomplish in my life, places I want to go, things I want to experience. This was one I found on the internet once. It was a Canadian. You see all those $100 bills hanging down. And these were the qualities he wanted to experience: strong, fearless, and driven. And he wanted to be making $20,000 a month. You want a car? Go down to the dealership, take your camera, have them take a picture of you in the car so that you get used to it. Put it on your refrigerator, make it your screensaver, whatever it is. Here's my favorite one ever. This guy had a billboard company make a picture of the car he wanted in his garage, and he put that on his garage door so that every day he walked by, he saw the car he wanted in his garage. I mean, that is like playing full out. I love it. According to the guy, he actually got that car not too long afterwards. So I was called in to work with a high-tech company in Silicon Valley, not Silicon Valley, Orange County in California. And they asked me, they said, our problem is we've got all these salespeople, and we have this great reward. If they win, they get to go to Rio de Janeiro, but we've only got 5% of our people making their monthly quota. They said, can you come in and figure out how to help them be more successful? I said, sure. So I did a workshop much like we're doing today. And then I noticed that in their company, as you were walking down the hall, there was television sets every so many feet. And I thought what it would be like if we made a film of what it would be like to be in Rio, and we played that film every hour. It's a 3-minute film. And we just play it every hour on the hour for the entire year. Anyone walking down that hall is going to see that film. So we made the film, put it on all the TV sets, and guess what happens? Showed that every hour, every salesperson exceeded their quota by at least 10%. Whereas before only 5% were meeting it, now everyone was exceeding it, simply by having this visualization along with some of the other tools that we taught. Okay, so your level of performance, go back, always matches your dominant vision. So whatever you're visualizing, that's what you're going to create. How does it work? So you have a vision. If you turn the page wherever your affirmation was to the next page, you'll see this little diagram. You can follow along. You have a vision that says, I now own a house in Maui, Hawaii, or I'm now a multimillionaire, whatever it is. But you're saying your affirmation, and the reality is you're only worth $300,000. You're in Toronto, not Maui, Hawaii, and your brain's going, "Come on, dude, you're not there. What's going on here?" And so you're creating something in your brain which the psychologists call structural tension. And we purposely want to create this because 3 good things come out of it. Advertisers, they say, imagine yourself behind the wheel of the car. Imagine yourself walking on the sands at Club Med in Morocco, whatever it is. And so you start to imagine that and you want it. How many of you have ever test driven a brand new car and then got back in your old car? Can I see a show of hands? Your car was fine until then, wasn't it? But now you've got this structural tension because you've got a vision of what's possible and the reality of your car doesn't match it. Some of you people have gone over and your neighbor just remodeled their kitchen. It's all nice granite and it's got all new, beautiful stainless steel ware or whatever. Then you come back to your old kitchen with the little pieces of tile and the gray grout that used to be white, so forth. And all of a sudden your kitchen's not good anymore. It was fine until then. Now, if you don't go back and see their kitchen, you'll probably forget about it. But if you have to go over there every day, pretty soon your kitchen sucks. And so basically your brain goes, we got to get that kitchen. I want that washer and dryer. I want that car. I want to go to that place. And so we purposely want to do what advertisers are doing to us to make us buy stuff we don't really need so that we can create ourselves to be motivated to do the things we need to do that get us what we really want. Now, when the structural tension is built up and held long enough, three things occur. I mentioned earlier, you get a shift in perception. Bogdan showed us this picture of the old woman and the young girl. And depending on how you look at it, she's an old woman or she could be a young girl. And your perception decides that. And so we want to open up this reticular system I mentioned in the bottom of your brain so it sees things that were always there. The second, and I'll show you how that works in just a minute. The second thing is you're going to get expanded creativity. You're going to wake up at 3 in the morning and go, I could do that. You'll be in the shower and you'll have an aha insight. You'll be walking along the river or by the ocean or out in the woods and all of a sudden, bam, the idea comes in. Just like when I was meditating and all of a sudden the title came that's now worth hundreds of millions of dollars. So creativity will start to occur. The third thing that happens is you're going to have increased motivation to get out of bed and do the thing. You can't wait to get out of bed and do it. You're going to be, I asked for a volunteer this morning. 3 hands went up in the room. If you were really motivated, I asked for a volunteer, every one of you would have gone, pick me. I want to play. I want to experience that. Alyssa told me on the break, she said, people were coming up to me going, were you part of that? Did you rehearse that? Do you know him? Did he pay you money? No, I never met her before. But she had the experience. You got to watch it. She got to feel it. Much more powerful. So you find you're more motivated. And the motivation produces action, and the action produces the results. Now we're going to look at one of these in depth called shift in perception. I'm going to show you a film in a moment that lasts 37 seconds. In this film, you're going to see 6 people. 3 are wearing white T-shirts, 3 are wearing black T-shirts and black pants. So we'll call that the white team and the black team. They're college kids in a dormitory in front of 2 elevator doors. And each team, we'll call them a team, has a basketball. So the white team has a basketball, the black team has a basketball. They're going to be weaving in and out between each other, passing their basketball to another team member of the same color T-shirt. So white team passing to white, black team passing to black. Your job is to count how many times that the kids in white pass their basketball. Now a pass means it leaves my hand and ends up in someone else's hands. It could be a bounce pass, it could be a pass through the air. If I bounce it and I catch it, that's not a pass, that's a dribble. So we're going to count how many times they pass the ball. Which team are we focusing on? What are we counting? Very good. Now, 2 rules. Number 1, do not count out loud. That will disturb and distract your neighbors. Number 2, total silence. If something sad happens, like let's say one of the kids trips and hits his head on the floor, you're not going to go, oh. If something funny happens, you're not going to laugh. You're just going to be totally silent no matter what. Do you think you can do that? Yes. Because if you don't, it'll ruin the exercise for you and other people. And there's a lot of value here if you do it right. Now, I will tell you in advance, only about 30% of people get this right. 1 out of 3 people. See if you can be one of them. So look up on the screen. White team passes. Here we go. Very good. Now, how many people, by show of hands, how many people counted 13 passes? A couple people. How many counted 14? A few people back there, one over there. How many counted 15? Looks like about 25 people, 30 people. How many counted 16? Looks like about 50 or so people. How many counted 17? Looks like about 25 people. How many counted 18? How many people aren't going to raise your hand no matter what I ask because you don't want to be wrong? Couple people? Okay, good. So I'll tell you the number in just a moment, but before I do that, did anyone notice anything weird or unusual in that film? A gorilla. How many people saw a gorilla? How many people did not see a gorilla? Hold your hands up really high. Okay, majority of people did not see a gorilla. Now, if I'm up here and I'm speaking and Sunil puts on a gorilla suit and walks across stage and stops and goes like this and walks off, you think you'd notice that, right? So let's watch the film again. This time look for a person in a gorilla suit. Now you think that would be hard to miss.